So we're gonna dive right in, and I'm gonna start off with just some quick introductions so that we know kind of who's talking a bit, and then we're gonna dive into some tips to help with your housekeeping, and ideally we'll have some nuggets for you to take away even today. So my name is Jonathan Wicks, and I'm the founder of Well and Good Professional Services. We are a full-scale servicing company designated specifically for vacation rentals. We operate with physical locations across the country and complete the physical aspects of cleaning properties as well as supplying all the linens and laundering and then replenishing all of the guest amenities that are needed. So that is a bit about me, and we're going to turn it to Greer for the next.
Hello. I'm the operations manager for the Cottages on the Key down in Siesta Key, Florida. I manage, all day-to-day operations from cleaning, vendors, maintenance, guests and owners. So it's always every day is a new day. So
If you've never had a chance to get to Siesta Key, my goodness, what a place to be. What a place to visit. Awesome area. Nice to have you, Greer. Hello, Brad.
Hello, how are you, Jonathan?
So good, so good. Nice to have you today. Tell us about
Thank
tell us
you.
about the world out in the shores.
Absolutely, absolutely. I am the coordinator for guest services and housekeeping for beach getaways. We manage a inventory of a few hundred properties along the Alabama and Florida Gulf Coast.
Love it, love it. Awesome. And Logan.
Yeah, how's it going, everybody? So I own Same Day Turn, which is a newsletter and small community for Airbnb cleaners and owners of cleaning businesses, where we talk all day about cleaning every day. And then I also own an Airbnb cleaning company in Bentonville, Arkansas, called Bonnie and the Broom.
Love it, love it. Yes, and as you can see, this group truly does eat, sleep, and breathe the housekeeping portion of our industry. And so we're gonna try to give some tips and some of the things that we've learned. We've talked a bit with this group, and the idea is that, man, anything that we've learned that we can help, we don't want to hoard any information. We want to share, and we want to help the industry that we care so much about. And so our idea is to go through rapid fire tips and to give things that maybe we've seen that have helped increase our operations, and that maybe you can implement as well. So if I'm going to kick off our tips, the first one is a doozy. And honestly, it's something that it really transitions you maybe from the way that things used to be done to a more, I think, modern way of completing housekeeping. And that is a big tip to start. I recommend fully that folks that are having housekeepers complete more than one task, that they compensate housekeepers for each specific task. And what that means really is when you're looking at doing laundry, especially when the housekeepers are completing the laundering portion, which in the old ways of our industry, that's certainly the way that it used to be. Now there's more offsite laundering. But if you are having your cleaner complete things like laundering, or maybe they're doing inventory, restocking, and they're having to manage inventory within a home, if you delineate the payments and the actual compensation for those specific roles, it unlocks so many things. It allows for you to have a level of control on the process and accountability because of that, as each item is itemized, as well as you get to have specific process. And I think the biggest takeaway that you get from that is showing actual deference and respect to the fact that maybe you are asking a housekeeper to do something that is very different than cleaning. Laundering is a profession in and of itself, and if you're going to ask a housekeeper to take on that role, it is so much better for them to understand that there is a portion of the compensation that is designated for that specific role. So I challenge you, I encourage you to take that and use that as a barometer. What am I asking my housekeeper to do? And am I compensating for each one of those? And do they know the differences there in the compensation? Hot tip. Back in our order, let's go to Greer. What do you got for hot tips for us?
Ooh. Well, I'm gonna keep the theme going here because I couldn't agree with you more, Jonathan. We have gone through a seems like very long laundry kind of saga, if you will.
Mhm.
And
We have
after I think we're on our third laundry company, third and final, and it's completely changed the game. Cleaners are no longer, again, having to be like burdened. I hate to for lack of a better word, they just focus on cleaning. The linen is a whole nother monster in itself. So we're able to bring in this linen company. Again, this is our third one, but they bring the linen, they bring everything every single time, if that makes sense. So some people, we've done this in the past where the cleaners would just take what they think is dirty and put it, in our bin that, was a huge mess. But anyway, this is more logistical. You bring everything you need every single time. The cleaners take everything out every single time. Boom, we're just replenishing, moving, and it's a beautiful cycle. And again, it keeps it simple. Less for the cleaner that has to worry about, and they just do the cleaning. They have clean linens in front of them, labeled properly, queen, king. It's truly like an amazing
And
company.
And if I could, in that case, then that allows you to, again, delineate, you're paying the laundering company for the laundering portion, you're paying the cleaning for the cleaning portion. And so if right now you are not having a laundering company, delineating those payments will allow for the day that you do have that laundering company too, for
Exactly.
that to be already established.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And two, that saves time for the
Oh,
cleaners.
yeah.
So we've noticed like, we're talking about an hour that is saved from not doing laundry. And again, that just speeds everything up. So I would strongly recommend a linen company that
Yeah.
is built for rentals. I think is the key word. We've been through a few that are not so much, and I think we finally we have it. We got it right. So definitely recommend that.
Love it, love it. Did you well let's go to Brad and then we will shift back to and Brad, other tips that you've got, go ahead.
Sure. Well, I think the theme that we've got going so far this morning is treating our housekeeping service partners fairly, making sure that we talked about compensation. We talked about, the easing of the operational model. One thing that we do is that we have a 15-minute rule. Where our quality assurance inspectors, we have a team of quality assurance inspectors who ideally go in between the completion of the clean and the arrival of the guest. And as those quality assurance inspectors go in, if they find deficiencies in the housekeeping that they can correct in less than 15 minutes, then they are outfitted with their own cleaning kit and they are tasked with going ahead and completing whatever touch up needs to happen in order for the property to be guest ready. If the deficiencies they find are going to have a time period of greater than 15 minutes to complete, then that's when they would issue a callback task in Breezeway to bring the housekeeping service partner to send their cleaner back to correct those deficiencies themselves. One thing that we've done recently, we found that speaking of treating folks fairly, we've had a few storms and that sort of thing here along the Gulf front. A lot of our properties, most of our properties are beachfront. Most of them have the balconies with the large sliding glass doors. After a storm comes through, a lot of times it comes in from the south. We wind up with a lot of salt and a lot of sand on those sliding glass doors. And we were finding that we were having to call the housekeeping service partners back to correct that if the property had been sitting for a little while. And of course, in fairness, we were paying them to do that because we didn't expect them to come back and do storm cleanup for free. So we've outfitted our quality assurance inspectors now with squeegees, which I'm sure they're delighted about, but so that they can take a rag, put the water, get it on the sliding glass door and use that squeegee to correct that themselves. Takes a couple minutes, to do that. Saves us from having to bring the service partner back and then also having to pay them, to do that. So it's a win-win for both sides.
I love that. I love that. And yeah, just the whole concept of if we respect the work that they're doing, we oftentimes will see that same level of respect that housekeepers will show on the other side. And that 15-minute rule is fantastic. Instead of, hey, I found one hair, you need to return to the property, having folks actually coming in to do work and to help move the needle in the property unless there is such a need for that callback. That's fantastic. We've got some questions. And for those that are asking, if you use the Q&A section, we will work to answer those questions even even live during this, and we'll make sure to answer, if not after the panel, as we go. But the Q&A section is the best place for that. Logan, you got a hot tip? Let's do it.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Well, part of I think being respectful to the cleaners is giving them all the information that they need to know ahead of time. So one of the things that we do with our cleaning company is if we know that the guest is checking in with a pet, we give the cleaners a heads up. Oftentimes when guests have a pet, it's going to take them longer to do the cleaning, right? Especially if you don't do laundry off site. A lot of times we have hosts that the guests let the pets sleep in the bed, right? Which is super common. And unfortunately, if you're doing laundry on site, that takes a long time to get pet hair out of sheets. So giving the cleaners enough information about that clean, maybe how many guests were there, how long did they stay, did they have a pet, did they have kids, right? Like all of these things let the cleaner know or give them a good idea of how long that clean is going to take. If it's going to take them longer than usual, they need to be aware of that because maybe they have 2 or 3 cleans that day. They can adjust their schedule accordingly. So always give your cleaners as much information as they need to know, and really arm them with information so they can go in and do that clean to the best of their ability.
I think that's so helpful as well when you think about the difference between a stay that's been maybe 2 months versus 2 days. If the cleaner
Absolutely.
is armed with that information, that is huge for them to know, and that knowledge is definitely power for sure. So
Absolutely. Yep.
I love that. Okay, so if we're getting into just some of the questions, Greer, I know you mentioned the laundry that you're having offsite laundry completed. The question was, do we all utilize offsite laundry? I'll answer for myself, and then I'll let Logan and Brad go as well. Well and good. Our service, that's part of our service, is that we complete the laundry offsite, and so everything is taken offsite as part of our service. Brad, is that offsite as well for you all?
Right now, we're actually in transition on that.
Okay.
One of our housekeeping service partners, who has a large offsite laundry facility, has been doing our laundry for us. Of course, with us, ours is limited to just the coverlets and the closet blankets mainly, because our housekeeping service partners actually provide the other bed and bath linens as part of the services that they provide for us. We are actually bringing our laundry in-house as we speak.
Okay. And Logan, same?
So we are also in the middle of a transition. We currently do all laundry on site for 50 properties here in Bentonville. So we are doing all laundry on site. That is not sustainable when you get past a certain number. So we are looking to actively outsource our laundry as well.
Okay, great. All right. Well, I'm gonna go into just a quick tip, and then I'm gonna go to Greer for her next tip as well. So the next one that I have, and this is where we use Breezeway so heavily for, is that we actually have created a before section for the photos aspect. So we oftentimes found that obviously cleaners were taking photos in Breezeway of after the clean was completed, and that's certainly needed, and we have that as requirements, of course. But in having the requirement for a before photos, it's helped us in a lot of ways, primarily to show that work was actually done. There's some times where, there's questions of, was this house used? And if all we have are perfectly clean photos, then it's difficult to kind of show that work. And so we go in and take pictures of the unmade bed, and we take pictures of things. And it also is a great way to have cleaners start to be on the lookout for damages and start to be immediately walking through that house before they begin with their eye on what is needed here. And so the before photos is an easy thing to add into Breezeway, and you can just add that in and then make that as a requirement to just snap a few photos before you begin the service as the cleaner. And it certainly has helped us in terms of getting some of that validation of the work that was completed, as well as looking for damages that are out there. So Greer, what else?
I'm piggybacking off you, Jonathan.
Love
The after pictures for us are huge.
it.
And it might seem obvious, but really we like to hone in on the details of what a guest is. There's 5 things that they see and now they're upset, right when they come in. So we try to hone in on those things, picture wise. If you have a trash can inside the kitchen, a pull out, sometimes they miss that. So when, the bag is new and, it's clean, it's a fresh trash bag, but there's like food and things that they miss, we ask for a picture of that. Again, that's kind of checks and balances with the cleaner. We know they're doing a good job. It's just those few things, if they can make sure is completed, the guest is like, wow, this place is perfect. So yeah, inside oven, trash can, that trash can like cabinet area, if I'm explaining that well. and around the doorknob. And right when you come in the front door, like the doorknob and right around it, usually we try to paint it, but if you just get a magic eraser, it's clean. So
And
some
do
of those initial things, go ahead.
you require those photos? Is there like an actual physical
Yeah.
requirement section for each one of those?
Yeah, so it's awesome with Breezeway. You know, you have to take those to complete the clean.
Mhm.
And we don't ask for a lot. I understand the cleaners, they have a million things to do in a very short amount of time. So it's really just 4 quick pictures of those items that, again, we've found that guests complain about. So we
Hmm.
just try to put that in the exit clean to
Yeah.
knock it out.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
While we have you, before we pop popcorn over to Brad, I know there was a bit of on the mid-stay cleans that you all are doing now, and the difference there. Could you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes, so if we have a guest 2 weeks, staying 2 weeks or longer, we're actually kind of working it out right now, but we do it if they have a pet, we do a mandatory cleaning with the guests, and there's some kinks that we're working out, but
Mhm.
the guest essentially pays that beforehand. Like when you're booking, they're paying for that interim cleaning. Hey, once you guys are close to your stay, we'll reach out and get that scheduled, the time that works for you. Maybe you're at the beach, whatever. But that one helps us get an idea of how good or bad the house is being cared for with this long-term stay. Is the dog sleeping in the bed? I know we brought that up earlier. So just kind of helpful tips, and again, for the cleaner to get an idea of what to expect on the turnover day. So again, checks and balances on that kind of thing.
And I love, if you notice, the theme that we've all kind of said is, we're working through this, right? Which is that it's not a perfect science. There's no way when you
Yeah.
say, oh, we require mid-state cleans, we all know, man, there's conversations that need to happen there. There's variances. And so, yeah, if you're looking to get more information on how that's working through, you can contact Greer at some point in the next couple months, say, hey, how's that going? Because I
Yeah.
know this is stuff that we learn on the fly. We are all paving that way. So yeah, Brad, let's talk a little bit about callbacks, potentially even percentage tracking and such.
Oh, absolutely. That is one thing that we do, especially during the busier months. During snowbird season, the it's fairly stagnant, so there's not a lot going on to really track. But once we get into spring break and the summer season, absolutely, we track the number of callbacks and the severity of the callbacks on a per clean basis with the housekeeping service partners. Their inventories, their portfolios are of varying sizes. So we have to do that on a scale basis
Right.
for the number of cleans for it to be fair. And we try to keep those, below a certain number. Most everybody right now stays in single digits percentage wise, less than 10% callbacks for the cleans that they do. And, if it's a callback for, a very minor thing, then we don't even count it. We do look at the callbacks as far as the severity of it, as to whether or not it's even going to count. And then, we provide that feedback to the housekeepers or the housekeeping service partners as a general rule on a monthly basis during the busier seasons, and they appreciate that. It's good feedback for them to let them know how their cleaners are doing, and then they can follow back up with their cleaners. And and we can a lot of times they'll come back and they'll ask us, which particular properties are we talking about here, and then we can talk about that with them a little more in detail. And because a lot of times they have particular cleaning crews assigned to particular properties, and so they can track that themselves. And so it just kind of feeds on down the line because, we have to keep in mind that everybody wants to do a good job. We have to give everybody the benefit of the doubt. Our housekeeping service partners, their cleaners, they all want to provide a great service to us, and we want to provide great service to our guests. And so providing that feedback for them just is a good opportunity for them to evaluate their own operation and make improvements in that way.
Love it. And yeah, a lot of us are kind of developing that report card of sorts. And I like what you said, Brad, about making sure that that's percentage based, right? You don't want to have the team that's maybe a smaller team because they had one callback, have that be, or, it's percentage is the key. If a larger team has more callbacks, well, they might be doing a lot more homes. And so that's a good way to look at it from the percentage. And I just was thinking, I don't know You know, do we have report card features within Breezeway? Is that something, are we going to create a new product development for them to do? Because that would be cool if there was a callback feature that was allowed to tie into a work order. That way we could run a report. As the background. And I don't know. Logan, we'll go to you for our next hot tip. And I don't know how you've done reporting features as well, or like report cards. Do you use Breezeway for that?
We do use Breezeway. We don't use, I have not found a reporting feature in terms of the
Right.
quality control inspection. So typically we do have to export to Excel, and then we have our
That's
own
how. Yes.
report
Yes.
yeah, with
Okay.
Excel. I actually have, well, first of all, I'm really excited for these questions because they are some great questions. I have two quick tips. So the number one tip, which I'm sure everybody already does this, but I think when you're doing inspections, use a flashlight to go around the base of the toilet and to look at the toilet. I think when you use a flashlight, I don't know, maybe in the chat, does anybody use a flashlight when they're doing inspections? Using a flashlight will show every hair that has ever been there. And so anyway, flashlights for the win on your inspections are super helpful. But the second tip that I'll say is ask your cleaners and really make sure your cleaners are reading every single item on the checklist. It's so easy for cleaners to get in there and they've been to that house, 50 times and they're just going to breeze through it. But those checklist items are super, super important. One thing that Jonathan shared a while back is you can have fun with those checklists, right? Add a little Easter egg, right? Like, hey, if you're reading this, text me and I'll give you a $5 gift card, right? Like really incentivize them to read everything on that checklist. It's super important. And then the last thing is, if Jonathan's is also a tip from you too, but have the cleaner sign their name at the end, right? And that way that kind of adds accountability, right? If they know that they have to sign their name saying the property is complete and ready for a guest, they might think twice about that and do another walkthrough because they're signing their name. There's something special about putting your own name to something, right? And so a couple tips there for the checklists.
I love that. I love that. And thanks for getting into that, because we are going to try to answer some of these questions. There's so many good questions. So I'm going to try to rapid fire. We've got 3 minutes and we're going to try to hit. But yes, that guest readiness signature is a game changer. And what we do there is have a blank area where it says, if the home is guest ready, type in your full name. If not, type in the reason why it's not guest ready. And this also helps cleaners, men, if there's a broken bed, right? And that broken bed is, they know it's going to cause an issue for the guest. They then type in broken bed as opposed to their name. And that releases them from the liability of, if there's an issue with the guest, they're saying, I did my part, but there's something left to be done for guest readiness. So yes, I think that's super helpful. Okay, so now I wanted to get into some of these questions that are coming in, and I appreciate, I've got both on the chat and on the and on the questions here. So do we set a standard time by size for property for cleaners? Sometimes we find cleaners rush through a clean and we'd like to have some standard times. Anybody have anything along that lines that could help? I can tell you, I don't know of any particular time that I can set. I think all homes are so different and it is very difficult to set specific times. Anybody have any thoughts? Otherwise, jump in.
We
No,
have,
we want them.
Go ahead. Sorry, I should have been better on the moderator.
go ahead, Brad.
Well, I was going to say, we want them to take as much time as they need to in order to get the property. We don't have a particular time. We'd like for them to get in and out in time for us to get in and inspect the property prior to the guest arrival. But no, we don't have a particular standard. In different cleaners, we use different operation models. We have one who has somebody that comes in and does all the bed sheets, and then another one that comes in and does all the cleaning as far as the floors and the toilets and all that sort of thing. And then we have another one. They have another one that comes in and puts in all the amenities. So it's 3 different stages for that particular housekeeping service partner. So there's really no way to set that as far as the time.
Anything else to add there, Greer?
No, you guys locked in on it.
Okay. And yes, we have, I think a lot of us have started our own laundry companies. I know Carrie asked about that, and that's a portion. Somebody's got to be obsessing over the laundry portion. It is difficult, and we're kind of all, cleaning and laundry go hand in hand in this business, and you have to be addressing them both with the focus that they need on that. Logan, I know you're scrolling through questions as well. Anything you're seeing before we get kicked out of here?
I just love the questions. There's so many questions about the checklists. I will plug Same Day Turn. Am I allowed to plug Same Day Turn? It's a free newsletter all about cleaning. We have our checklists on there. I'm sure Jonathan, Greer, and Brad would be happy to share their checklists as well. But so our checklist, we have over 60 items on our checklist, and we ask for a lot of photos. So anyway, just throwing that out there. But yeah, so many good questions. Corinne, everybody's feel free to reach out to us individually, collectively, and happy to answer them.
And We have a couple of resources for you as well. There's a PDF that's going to be shared to you all with some of our top tips here, as well as some other information about a Breezeway case study that'll be coming to you. And yeah, we'll try to answer these as well as we go. Photos is also the best checklist. I can also mention it's easier for folks to take a picture than it is for them to click a button, and pictures actually tell a certainty there too. So I know we're going to get booted here. Hi, Corinne.
I know. Sorry. Hi, guys. This is going to be the theme of the day, which is like, there's still so much to talk about in this. We will get all these questions to the speakers. We will get you answers back through the team, so that those things go along. You do not lose that information. Thanks for being so engaged, and asking, and for the panelists, thank you all for sharing so much of that. Jonathan, I'm gonna take your question, your product feedback, and encourage people to tune in tomorrow to some of the sessions, because we're going to talk about that report card-esque idea with something that that is coming, by being able to ask guests about the arrival clean, and then tying it back to the assignee. So giving a little bit away, but if you want more than that, you got to come to tomorrow's sessions. Team's been working really hard on that. So that is stay tuned.